after more than 5 years in the making, new rules designed to protect children and other users on social media and the internet are to be made into law. The online safety bill was approved by the House of Lords on Tuesday. Still needs royal assent before it can become law. But once it is, online and social media companies will be expected to remove any illegal content quickly or to stop it from being uploaded in the first place. And there's a bit more to it than that, as Laura Higson-Bliss has been explaining to me. She's a lecturer in law and social media at Keele Uni.
With regards to what we will see as users, we will see changes to these platforms. So there will be instances where age verification now will be made to ensure that young people can't access material that they shouldn't. There is also going to be more empowerment for users. So we will have opt-in situations. So if a platform changes some of its provisions, we will, as the user, get a notification to ask whether we want to opt in or opt out to certain technologies or certain changes that they've made. It's not just aimed at social media platforms. The online safety bill also includes a number of changes to the criminal law. So we'll see a lot more regulation around things like image-based abuse or cyber flashing.
We've had a lot of stories come up in the last year or so of trolling, a lot of incidences where people have gone on and said all kinds of mean things. Does it cover that as well then?
Mainly for children, not necessarily for adults. So with regards to children, there will be obligations on platforms to make sure that children aren't seeing things like bullying content, that they are protected from it. With regards to trolling aimed at adults, it would really sort of depend on the type of trolling that's taking place. So there will be significant emphasis on social media platforms to remove content that would be criminal, essentially. So if that content or that behaviour you're being subjected to breaches the criminal law framework, then social media platforms will be under an obligation to make sure that is removed.
Yeah, does it mean basically that the companies themselves will have a greater responsibility, more obligation to deal with it?
Yes, absolutely. And they will obviously be sort of forced to deal with these issues. And if they fail to deal with these issues, depending on the failure, it can result in a fine of up to £18 million or 10% of annual turnover, whichever is highest. And in some cases, particularly where there is failure to protect children, you could result in the imprisonment of company officials.
And so, having had a look through it, Laura, what do you think? Do you think this will work? Does it go far enough?
I think we will not know for a long time whether it's actually worked. I think it's very ambitious. There are certain things that are being promised which might not necessarily work in reality. So things like the age verification, that's essentially been on the radar since about 2017, particularly age verification for adult content. And that's never actually happened. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. As I said, I think it will be a long time before we actually are able to go, yes, we have made the UK the safest place to go online, or actually we failed to do what we set out to do in the first place.
Yeah, that's interesting as well that you mentioned the UK, because of course the internet is the World Wide Web, www. Like we all used to say when we put in internet sites and that. So how can it just affect people here in the UK, or do we have to look at what other countries are doing as well? How will it work just for people here?
Yeah, so the scope of the online safety bill with regards to the duties that it imposes on the platforms that fall within it, it doesn't matter whether they're based in the UK or outside of the UK. There are requirements of who would fall within its scope, but if you fall within its scope, regardless of where you're based, you will have to adhere to the provisions. With regards to the criminal offences that are contained within the bill itself, that will be for those that are based in the United Kingdom, and that will also depend upon your jurisdiction. So there are different requirements if you're in England and Wales compared to if you're in Scotland or Northern Ireland.
Okay, what do you think's the biggest online safety worry at the moment? What's the one that you would hope this helps to sort out?
I think it's the one around the sort of harms with regards to inappropriate material being sent, particularly towards women. So things like the image-based abuse changes to the criminal law and the cyber flashing, I think, are very much a welcomed change to the law, and that will have a significant impact for those who are subjected to that type of abuse.
Okay, and are we talking through messages, websites? How is it these images are getting through that perhaps they won't be able to in the future?
So what the legislation does is it actually expands to cover more than just sending through the internet. So it would include sharing a physical photograph, for example. So they've tried to make it as future-proof as possible. But one of the biggest significant changes is that they've removed some of the requirements that were previously under the law, things about having to prove distress, which is no longer the case in some of the provisions.
Thanks for that, Laura. Laura Higson-Bliss, lecturer in law and in particular social media law as well at Keele Uni. Just a bit of